What if the Cubs replace Jed Hoyer with Craig Counsell? Let's go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by our great partners at FanDuel. Now through this Sunday, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Sam will be back Sunday for Monday to recap Cubs Nationals and more. And I want to make clear that this is a theory and a theory only. However, I'm about to lay out a case for Craig Counsell taking over as Cubs president of baseball operations this offseason. Jed Hoyer shocked the baseball world last November when he fired David Ross and hired Craig Counsell to a 5-year, $40 million contract. Well, what if Tom Ricketts shocks us all and fires Hoyer, who has one more year left on his contract, while elevating Counsell from manager to running the team in a big shakeup? One of the main reasons Hoyer cited for hiring Counsell was because Hoyer knew Counsell would challenge him. Let me read a quote from Hoyer when spring training started in February. Quote, "He has really strong opinions and he's going to share them and he's not going to back down. He wants things done a certain way. When they're not done a certain way, he's going to voice that." Close quote. So let me paint this picture. The day after the season ends, Monday, September 30th. Ricketts has individual meetings with Hoyer, Counsell, and GM Carter Hawkins. In those meetings, Hoyer is mostly saying the same things he has been saying. Hawkins is saying the same things he has been saying. Meanwhile, Counsell lays out a comprehensive plan to genuinely change the course of the organization. In the next few days, Ricketts reflects on this, reflects on what Counsell had to say. He gauges Counsell's interest in leaving the dugout for the president chair, and then decides, you know what? Let's make this move and have Counsell run the team. Now, keep in mind, as I'm laying out this argument, this theory, I don't know who would take over as manager, but in this theory, Counsell is not the manager. He becomes the president, and he's only the president. I've also laid out a top 5 list why Counsell could be the best choice for this type of significant change, because let's face it, the chances that Hoyer is out as Cubs president, at least as far as we know, sitting here on September 19th, it's unlikely. But that's what we said a year ago when Ross was manager and Counsell was an impending free agent, didn't we? So let's say they could pivot to significant change. I have 5 reasons right here why Counsell could be up for that challenge. All right, I'm excited about this. Number 1, he knows the Cubs' problems. Why? He just got here. But not only did he just get here, he's here from the team that the Cubs have been chasing since 2018. More on that later. Counsell is dispassionate, meaning he doesn't have the same level of personal investment in players that Hoyer does. Therefore, if there's a move out there that might lend some pause but make the team better, I think Counsell is just going to make that move. He's been on the inside of a franchise that has missed the playoffs for 5 straight full seasons. And he's on the inside of a franchise that has missed out to the team he was with. And by the way, does Hoyer know what his team's problems are? We can't say for complete certainty that he does. Does he accept that the offense didn't do enough when it mattered, or is he going to frame these last 2 months as the offense returning to form? Everything's fine. Does Hoyer know that they still need to add a starting pitcher despite that group's success this year? Does he know the difference between depth and talent in regards to the bullpen? The Brewers do. As I will state a few different times here, the problem isn't and wasn't the manager. And after this 2024 campaign, there is plenty of work left to be done. And oh, by the way, guess who publicly said just that on Thursday? Craig Counsell. Listen to this clip before Thursday's game.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to get better, man. Like the team we're chasing is 10 games ahead of us. You got to get better. And we should try to be building 90-win teams here. I mean, like that's like what you have to do to, that's a playoff standard. I mean, that's what you got to get to be safely in the playoffs, right? Safely in the tournament. So from that perspective, we got a ways to go.
That brings me to reason number 2. Counsell knows best the gap between the Cubs and the NL Central title. And who's in that gap? The manager, the Brewers, where Counsell was a manager. Folks, the Brewers are a problem. We know this, right? They have swept the floor in this division for most of the last 7 years. If Counsell even had an ounce of curiosity about a front office's impact and how important roster construction really is before this year, that he knows for 100% certain how important it is now, he wasn't the reason for the Brewers' success. He was on the list, but he was not the top reason by any means. He was there over multiple roles for more than a decade. We'll get to one of those roles in a minute. Cubs steal the Brewers manager. Brewers still clinch the division with 10 games left. Pat Murphy is going to win manager of the year, but it's not Pat Murphy, right? Again, he's on the list, but it's more about the Brewers' relentless nature to get better, and that starts at the top. I heard on Thursday the Brewers referred to as a pest. They're not a pest. They're a force. And the roster construction, not the manager, is the largest difference maker. Let's go to number 3. Counsell already has front office experience. So him going from manager to president, and him being in the offices there on Clark and Addison, he's been in the office before. He's helped run teams. He's been inside those rooms. After retiring as a player, Counsell served as a special assistant to former Brewers GM Doug Melvin from 2012 to 2015. And then as Brewers manager, he worked for one of the game's most progressive front offices, led first by David Stearns, now with the Mets, and then Matt Arnold. So he has front office experience. I like this next one a lot. Brad Stevens is reason number 4. Do you know who Brad Stevens is? The former Butler turned Boston Celtics coach, proved to be a successful NBA coach after making the jump from college and mid-major college at that. But after 8 years at the helm of the Celtics, Stevens left the court and went upstairs as Celtics president of basketball operations. Since that move, the Celtics have been at the top of the sport, including leading from pole to pole this past year en route to an NBA title. So there is some precedent in taking someone who has experience as a head man, having him walk upstairs. Okay, you're running the show now. You're getting paid a lot of money. Well, now you're getting paid to run the whole thing. And that does bring me to point 5, which is how much Counsell makes. Ricketts authorized Hoyer to make the move in the first place, fired a manager that was under contract in Ross, hired Counsell for 40 M's over 5 years. That $8 million per year puts Counsell, or in theory, puts Counsell in a position to have a strong investment in the Cubs. They've invested in him. He, again, in theory, wants the Cubs to be good too. And with Ricketts spending so much on Counsell and writing that check, why not use this money towards doing the most important thing, which we now clearly know and can admit is running a team from the top, making the roster, finding impactful talent. And the most important thing is not running a team from the dugout. So what if the Cubs replace Jed Hoyer with Craig Counsell? Wanted to workshop that for you here, and it would certainly be a big shakeup, and that's putting it lightly, honestly. This would be a major move. It would create buzz, but we can't, as we've learned now, almost a year, can't confuse that buzz and that activity for achievement. And the Brewers keep achieving. They're sweeping the floor clean of not just the Cubs, but all the other teams in the division. And how are the Cubs going to respond? Likely with Hoyer still running the team and Counsell in the dugout, but the what-if game, at least for right now, something to consider, at least the last 10, 12 minutes. Coming up next, the Cubs did win a baseball game on Thursday night, 7-6 win over the Nationals, and we recap it right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy. It's also what keeps your car alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one car. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your car alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Cubs play the Nationals at 1:20 p.m. Central Friday, and you can hear every pitch of the Cubs' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM by searching Cubs on the SXM app. Well, amazingly, Thursday night was the last night game at Wrigley for the 2024 season. In some ways, it feels like March 28th was yesterday. Other ways, it feels like it really was 5-6 months ago. And for the Cubs to have all afternoon games left, have only 9 games total left, it is a little difficult to fathom. But I do wonder, where our emotions are going to stand, when we wake up on Monday, September 30th, what we're truly going to feel like after experiencing this 162 game season that's felt like a roller coaster, maybe a teeter-totter, and that's exactly what Thursday's game was, a back and forth contest. Cubs defeat the Nationals 7-6. Cubs and Nats were tied at 1. They were tied at 3. Cubs led 5-3. Nationals led 6-5. Cubs led and won 7-6. Nationals did rally in the top of the ninth, but couldn't complete their final comeback attempt there. Cubs scored 7 runs on 12 hits. Suzuki hit a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning. Otherwise, the Cubs' other 11 hits were all singles. Happ, Swanson, Suzuki, Bellinger all recorded multi-hit games. Horner stole his 30th base of the year. Javier Assad, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Armstrong and Smiley shaky out of the bullpen. And then Roberts, Lopez, and Hodge settled things down and shut the door. Hodge did have some traffic there. 2nd and 3rd, the game ended with 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs, and runners stranded there. And the Cubs are able to win their 78th game of the year. They're now 78-75 with 9 games left. You have 3 against the Nationals, 3 against the Phillies, off day, and then 3 back at Wrigley next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Reds. Friday, it's Jameson Taillon for the Cubs, former Cub, Trevor Williams for the Nationals. Trevor Williams, the 3rd player, and then now what's now becoming, I would say, one of the better trades the Cubs have made in recent memory. Javier Baez to the Mets, along with Trevor Williams for Pete Crow-Armstrong. Trevor Williams actually pitched really well this year, ERA in the 2s. Jameson Taillon, after a blip around the trade deadline, has worked his way back to the center, and then some, I would say, has looked solid. Cubs are a -180 favorite as of our recording time here, -180 favorite on FanDuel, our great partners over there. And, my main takeaways from games right now are absolutely with a 2025 lens. We talked about having that. Really, we discussed 2025 lens when Hoyer, made his statements about the trade deadline there in mid to late July, and said any moves they would make was with 2025 in mind, which, essentially he wrote his own team off at the time, and they climbed all the way back to 3 games out of the 3rd wild card spot before faltering again. And really the Mets just taking off too. I don't want to dismiss what they've done, but Cubs built themselves that hole. And really since then, I've always kind of peeked over into 2025. Unfortunate as that might have been for as early as it might have been, but now with single game totals left, 9 games left, that's absolutely something that we're going to be doing the rest of the way. I think the last week or so, we've done a nice job of not necessarily getting away from game coverage, but just making lead topics really just that. What are the main topics about this team right now? What are the questions we can ask? What are some projections moving forward? And my main one from this game was Assad. Where does he stand going into next year? If you penciled out the rotation right now, he is in it. He's in it. There is a Houdini effort that sometimes he has to pull off. But his pitch mix, throwing as many as 6 pitches in one single game, Fangraphs determined a couple months ago, they believe that's the main reason why he's able to get out of a lot of these jams and really just limit damage, despite all the peripherals and stats that would indicate otherwise. But 7 hits today, but only 3 runs. He walked only 1. That's huge for him. Because if he's having free passes, even that start with a 2, but definitely 3+, I think that just leads to poor results for him. The swing and miss was fine today, 5 strikeouts. We've seen Assad ebb and flow with that. Games that he can strike out, 6, 7 plus, but also games where it's 1 or 2. And right now, even though, the similarities between an Assad and like a Tyone, and even sometimes Steele from the left side, they're similar, but I think Assad has a spot right now. If you're asking for right now, I would say it's like in the 90% that he has a rotation spot. Of course, there's a lot of time between now and March 2025, but by no means is he like in a buffer zone of like, could he go back to the bullpen? He's started the whole year and he's been good for most of it. So we'll see what happens with him moving forward. Coming up next to close out, we're going to update you on the Cubs' hottest prospects. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through Sunday, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You could cancel anytime. And if that's not enough, be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's double your winnings for all of this Sunday's pregame money line bets. The Profit Boost will be live starting Thursday, which is today. So it's live right now. View your account page now to learn more about your boost and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. All right, to wrap up here on the show, Matt Shaw over his last 17 games is slashing .343, .413, .687 with 5 home runs and 6 doubles. He is having a great season between AA and AAA. Out of any of the prospects, I would say Shaw taking over a lineup spot from day one in 2025 would excite me the most. And also might be the most acceptable. And what I mean by that is just not only given Shaw's resume, but really the limits that the other top prospects have, like Casey with swing and miss, Ballesteros with defense, Alcantara with swing and miss, Triantos, maybe the slug. So Shaw, has covered his bases the most. He's the most well-rounded out of any of them. But again, there's no room right now. There's not even room for one new guy. And there especially won't be if Cody Bellinger opts in. So we'll discuss that more in depth beginning that first week of the offseason, September to October there. First day of the offseason, amazingly, again, only 10 days away. Sam will be back Sunday for Monday to recap Cubs, Nats, and more. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes, we'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcasts. I'm Matt Cozy, and this is Locked On Cubs.
Go Cubs.